Hi, I'm Brian Higgins. I'm a senior buyer here at Reinke Manufacturing. I purchase sprinkler and drivetrain components for the Reinke dealer network.
Describe your day-to-day job.
My day-to-day tasks start off with follow-up, whether that be returning emails or phone calls to vendors, dealer support staff, etc. I have a few reports and spreadsheets that I go through to determine if there's anything that I need to place on order for that day. I also deal with several different internal departments, dealer support, shipping and receiving, quality, engineering, accounts payable, as well as the different production areas that utilize the specific products that I purchase.
How did you get started in purchasing?
I kind of fell into purchasing. I worked for a business aircraft company and started as a temporary admin assistant. After a while, there was a current buyer who left the company unexpectedly. They asked me to fill in for that role until they could hire somebody permanently. For whatever reason, that never happened, and eventually they asked me to stay on in that role.
How essential is it to have great communication in your line of work?
Communication, in my opinion, is one of, if not the top aspect in what I do. Purchasing, logistics, supply chain is really the hub that keeps all the other departments together. We are the go-between between engineering, the vendors, dealer support, and the end grower. There could be an engineering change for a part that we need to communicate to the vendor so that way they can make sure that they make the correct changes to that part to be able to meet the new requirements. Grower may have an issue with a part, from a specific vendor, and we need to communicate that to them as well so that they could research that and determine what the root cause of, whatever problem they may have is.
Can you share about the importance of being in a good relationship with the vendor then?
This is an area where I take great pride in. It goes back to the previous answer about communication. The better relationship I have with my supplier, the easier it is to do my job. I try to communicate to everybody that I deal with the most accurate information I have available at that time. So there's no surprises down the road. There are times when I run into an issue where I need to get a part right away. They, for whatever unforeseen circumstances, and I have that relationship with a supplier where I know that I can call them and they can get that part, next day if need be, even if it's normally a 2 to 3 week lead time. And that's because I build great relationships with those vendors.
So without getting into specifics, have you seen any price increases due to the steel and aluminum tariffs?
As far as the tariffs are concerned, we are monitoring that closely. We don't know for sure how that's going to affect our commodity prices at the moment. I can say that we've seen a steady increase in some steel and aluminum commodities, anywhere up to 40% since December of 2017. We've also seen lead times grow from anywhere 4 to 6 weeks to now 4 to 6 months. So it's having an impact everywhere.
Will the market shortage of truck drivers affect on-time deliveries of key materials and parts to Reinke?
This is another area that we're monitoring closely. There is a shortage of drivers nationwide. I would say with a ratio of every 100 loads, there's only one available driver for that. There are several different factors that dictate on-time deliveries, but we adjust as needed to make sure those instances are avoided and deliveries are on time.
How does Reinke limit this exposure? How does Reinke determine lead time for critical components?
We utilize several alternative means of transportation to meet on-time delivery, including rail cars when possible. I'm sure that we're not the only ones that are affected by the shortage of drivers, and could only assume that they are utilizing the same alternatives as we are, so there could be a trickle-down effect, for shortage in those areas as well. Lead times are generally driven by the vendors, so we plan our schedules and deliveries around that.
Does Reinke utilize just-in-time inventory or other light management systems?
We do not utilize just in time. We have a production schedule that determines our inventory levels for that specific aspect, but there are also unforeseen circumstances that can occur at any moment. So we always have to be prepared for those as well. We do utilize an RVPI program that we developed to ensure certain levels of inventory. There are certain factors that go into determining what levels those will be. Anything from past usage, current production level, current production schedule, or any projects that are on the horizon.
Are there associations or organizations that Reinke Purchasing Department is a member?
ISM is Institute for Supply Management. It's a program for supply chain management and purchasing. They provide educational tools, certification, leadership development, and research. Anything from web-based classes to seminars and conferences.
When and how is it determined to shift to a new line of products?
That is something that is usually driven by the vendors. For the most part, they're always trying to find ways to improve their products or add to their product line to offer more options to their customers. They will do research to see what the needs are for different agricultural areas. You could have a grower in Idaho that uses a certain product, but a grower in Texas, that product may not work well for them. So also things change all the time, so whatever worked for a farmer 10 years ago may not work for them this year or next year going forward. Our suppliers are very aware of that, and they are always trying to improve.
What is some advice you'd give to those hoping to get into purchasing or logistics?
Build great rapport with everyone you deal with. Always be upfront and honest with everyone you talk to. Give the most accurate information available at the always do your best to meet your customer needs. If you have someone needing a certain product and for whatever reason there's absolutely no possible way to meet the date that they're requesting, be honest and upfront with the date that you can meet, and be honest about it and let them know when you can make sure that you deliver that on time. If you're open and honest with them, most generally they will understand. If you promise something and not deliver, you will lose their trust. I would rather give them under promise and over deliver than over promise and under deliver.
Now we'll go live to some Facebook Live questions. If anybody out there has a question that they'd like to ask Brian, feel free to write it in. It doesn't look like there's any questions right now. So,
well, just want to thank you all for joining in and watching this month's episode of Meet the Reinke Team.